This week we're going to Alaska. Just the word Alaska gives me goosebumps. It has to be on your bucket list if you haven't been there.
Bass Pro Shops and Alamocitos Ranch present Bob Foulkrod's Hunting Adventures. Seven continents, 80 species, a 5-year quest in the making. High adventure, dangerous game, real-world training tips. This is Bob Foulkrod's Hunting Adventures.
This is the world wild and untamed, where the slightest mistake can turn predator into prey. That's why, for the true sportsman, there is no destination as uncompromising as Alaska. And a do-it-yourself hunt is the most uncompromising way to achieve an Alaskan-sized trophy. There's no room for error here. And if you're going to fly with 40-mile Ayers Leif Wilson, that includes your packing list.
When we take out hunters, we're operating with our transporter license. And we're not guides. We don't guide people. We take people to areas that we believe support the type of game that they're looking for and drop them off and let them hunt. And the people need to be prepared, both mentally and physically, to be able to be out there on their own and take care of themselves and have the appropriate gear to keep themselves out of trouble. And operating small airplanes like Super Cubs, with each person we can take a maximum of 50 pounds behind the seat. And that allows us to get in and out of remote airstrips where there's not very suitable landing spots, short, rough, and so on. And that is what lets us get into areas where you don't have competition with other hunters. With the gear that is available these days, people get the right gear, they don't have any problem with it. We take sheep hunters, caribou hunters all the time, that some of them will have a pack with everything they need, 10 days worth of food, a good tent, a good sleeping bag, the gear that they need, clothing that they need, and they'll be 42 to 48 pounds. It's not too big of an issue if they have the appropriate type of gear.
I can remember my first trip when I watched that airplane fly off on a trip like this, and I just sat down and watched him fly off until I couldn't see him anymore. And I sat there and I go, you know, I'm out here by myself. You better be able to take care of yourself. Choose your gear wisely. Don't make any stupid mistakes like jumping off the rocks and jumping over rocks. And I mean, you're out here by yourself, so you take a little extra precaution. You watch what you step on, and the last thing you want to do is break a leg. You watch when you're skinning the caribou, you don't want to cut yourself. You make a mistake like that, it could be your last one.
For help with all of your hunt booking needs, contact J&M Safaris at jnmsafaris.com.
Wherever you are, the first morning of a hunt always has a special feel, particularly when it's just you and Mother Nature. As Bob heads out to see what his slice of the Alaskan wilderness holds, he has only himself to rely on.
Caribou is something that is next to my heart. It's kind of what got me a jump start in the industry, I guess. And I know everybody's seen, you know, these pictures of migrations going through, and they look pretty easy, but when you get them in singles and small groups like that, you know, they're pretty leery. They can smell real good. Sometimes they're curious and sometimes they're not. It all depends on, you know, what's been hunting them in the last few days. But caribou hunting is something that's dear to my heart. What I try not to do is to get too impatient, especially when I haven't seen any caribou since last year, and they all look big when you first get started, but you need to see a few of them just to get acclimated to, you know, horn size and whatever. And of course you always get that predator instinct into you, so I'm trying to back that predator instinct off of me. But this caribou looked pretty nice. That back one is nice, but the one up front is good too. Well, we got pinned down a little bit. That's okay. We could have probably took one. I'd like to have it in my head that I could have taken him with a bow. So, with all these little curves and stuff like where I'm sitting right now, they could have fed right down in front of you, and a lot of times they would have fed down on the other side, and they get you pinned down. And you got to let them walk by. But that's caribou hunting. It's been a great morning.
Although Bob completed his obsession quest taking over 80 animals with a rifle, his first love has always been bow hunting. He's teamed up with longtime friend and archery coach Mike Price to help make you a better bow shot. This week's archery lesson is brought to you by Heritage Archery Academy and these great archery sponsors: Hoyt, True Ball, Easton, Limb Saver, Gateway Feathers, and Dirt Nap.
Today we're going to talk about draw length. This is one of the most controversial issues in the archery industry. We have different ways to get it, but the proper way to get it is in the last 5 weeks, we've set up your foundation. So if you take every single step we've filmed in the last 5 weeks, from your stance to your bow arm to your release arm to how you anchor, that's going to dictate your draw length. It's as simple as this. If I set my stance, I set my bow hand, this is my simulator, my release is in my hand, it's flat, it's not cocked like this. So my fingers are just touching in front of the bow, and I pre-aim at the target. My shoulders are low, and I come to full draw and anchor. That's my draw length. You don't see my shoulder up here, my arm bent if I'm too short because I'm gonna shake. I just set my arm in front of me, natural bend in my arm. I draw, anchor into my jaw, and execute. That's your natural draw length. Let your body dictate it. It's so important out of a tree stand. If you guys are constantly shooting high out of a tree stand, low, if you're constantly inconsistent out of a tree stand, flat-footed on concrete is one thing. But most of us in the Northeast up here, we hunt out of a tree stand, so it's important. You want your sight alignment and your arrow path to stay relative. So if this hand moves, this elbow moves, and I do it with my waist or at my hips and my knees. I bend down, I can shoot like this, and I can shoot like this. The proper draw length is going to allow you to make shots that you wouldn't normally be able to if your draw length was too long or too short. You're using your frame, you're using the amount of muscle that you need to use to make the shot happen, but no more. This should help you. Proper draw length is one of the most important things you can have in your archery system.
Bob Foulkrod's Hunting Adventures is brought to you commercial-free by these fine sponsors: Gore-Tex, Winchester Ammunition, Kinatrek, Kufaru, and LJ Blessings Ranch.
You got to know your limitations. I mean, if you get off on a hunt like this and you look down in the bottom of one of those gullies and you see a nice caribou, you got to ask yourself, are you in shape enough to bring him up out of there? So that's the question. Don't hunt any further away from that tent or that camp than you want to bring that animal back. It's real easy to sit here and look over there about 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 miles and see caribou running around, and you're not within any caribou right then. You know, be patient, glass, and if you have to move, then you have to move. But just remember one thing, you got to bring him back out. I'm afraid we'll bump him if we go at him. There he goes in the alders. I got him now. I move up just a little bit. I'd like to see whether I could get him within bow range. Just a challenge I like to do. There he is, right there, coming out. Put the camouflage out. That way then I can hide behind it. I got him now. Oh, it's gonna be perfect. They're coming right down to me. Let him come right up on top. He's gonna feed right with the rest of them. He's 50 yards right now. Now they're getting close now. I better get ready. That's one beautiful animal right there. I gotta let that one get out of the way. Oh, wait, you got one coming in back of me. They're in front. Let that one walk away. Here we go. Yeah, that's how that's done. Whew. That's a barren ground caribou right there. I needed that for my obsession. And what a wonderful way to get him too. Right back in here with nobody staying in the little tents. And I mean, it just, that's a pretty special caribou right there. I think we need to go look at him. Hey, big guy. You're a nice caribou. Nice caribou. Atta boy. Right there it is. One Alaskan beautiful caribou. Barren ground, part of my obsession quest. Once the animal's down, you got all day to take care of him. One thing Alaska says first, you know, first thing they give you a card that you got to punch, and then you got a metal tag that you put on the horns. And the last thing that can come out is the horns and the cape. So that's your last trip out. So I kind of put them up on some alders down there, or some willows, anything to get it up off the ground and keep it breathing. and just take your time, you know. In our case, we made one trip up, and that was the heavy load, and we had some soup and some coffee, and we went back down. We brought another light load up, and then we went back down for the Cape and the Horns, and you know, I guess we got him at 8 o'clock in the morning. Time we was back, I think it was, I don't know, 7:30, I believe it was, time we got back to the camp. So it was an all-day process, but what else you got to do out here, you know? Not a darn thing, just enjoy yourself. And you tell yourself when you're coming up over that mountain, I'm getting in a little better shape for the rest of the hunting season, and it's another day maybe that I'll live because I've kept myself in shape.
Big game hunters are used to adapting to their prey's habitat. But that takes on a whole new meaning in the windswept and foreboding tundra of Canada's Nunavut province. The Inuit of the Baker Lake community have learned that to survive and prosper here, a hunter must follow the rules that have proven true for thousands of years. But that doesn't mean they are afraid of the future.
Like a lot of these little villages, Baker Lake is the only way they can supply the food source and the fuel and everything else that comes in here. Most of it comes in by barge. You know, the food and other supplies can come in by airplane, but most of it comes in by barge. So like a lot of villages, in this particular villages, there's an estimated population of 1,800 people. And there's a lot of things going to make this little village change right now. You got some mining going on, and they expect this town to grow to approximately 300 more people just with the mining and what's going on through Baker Lake. Baker Lake, it's the center of Canada, all of Canada. A place where traditionally they hunted caribou here to keep the village going, and we've came to hunt caribou too. Boy, you can see the wind. She's really choppy, and we got to go across that, hold those white caps and head out that way about 50 or 60 miles. Doesn't look like it's going to happen today, but that's what they make tomorrows for.
Respecting the weather is rule number one when hunting the far north. And today, Bob Foulkrod tips his hat to Mother Nature. Out on the tundra, his quarry awaits.
Transportation for all of Bob Foulkrod's hunting adventures is provided by Victor Chevrolet. Check them out at victorchevrolet.com.
The treeless expanse of the tundra gives the wind free rein, and once again the weather is too violent to hazard a crossing of Baker Lake. Heading up the Thelon River to the Inuits' traditional hunting grounds should leave them less exposed, and they prepare to give it a try. Once, Bob's guides would have made this trip in caribou skin parkas. Now, they don survival suits.
One of the things I like about coming to the Arctic, I guess, is the adventure of it all. You take, especially in the cold months when it's really April, March, you know, in that vicinity, and you've got freezing temperatures, you got to have a lot of respect for these people that can take you out and bring you back safely, and for themselves to survive in this area. There's a lot of places in the lower 48 that you figured if you got stuck out there at nighttime you could survive, but this is one of them places that you might need the help of other folks. I see people in hunting camps all the time. They'll have a Gore-Tex jacket on, and they'll have a cotton shirt on and under it, you know. And I guess part of my job as being on this Gore-Tex team is try to educate. The nice thing about Gore-Tex is everything from your skin outward needs to breathe. I use EnduraSkin from Bass Pro. I'll put on a Polar Tech on over that if it's colder with a Windstopper shirt. And you know, obviously my pack light is what I wore for this trip. But let's say I'm walking, let's say it's pretty nice, like the weather's pretty nice right now. I've just got the windstopper sweater on. But if I was going to hike to the top of the hill, the windstopper sweater would come off and I would just have the Enviro skin and the windstopper shirt. I can strip down, and if it was all on, and I worked up a sweat, if I stopped in glass for a little bit, it would continue to air out. It would let that moisture escape even if I had my rain suit on. That's the key right there. Everything from your skin all the way out needs to breathe. That's the only way Gore-Tex can work for you. It's fantastic. There's no reason for you to be uncomfortable today. Just remember one thing. First thing you put on next to your skin needs to be able to breathe, and every layer after that needs to breathe. It doesn't do any good to have their first layer be able to breathe. Stop it with a cotton shirt so that can't possibly get rid of the moisture, and then put a Gore-Tex on over it. If you layer up this way, trust me, not only will you be comfortable, but you have a big smile on your face saying, boy, this stuff really does work.
Bob Foulkrod's hunting gear includes a 300 short mag, Winchester 180 grain Nosler ballistic tip bullets, Swarovski optics, Redhead Polar Tech base layers, and Redhead Extreme Elements outerwear.
The start of a new day means another trip up the unpredictable Thelon River. One wrong move out here can have drastic consequences. It's a high price to pay for pure adventure, but that's why Bob calls it the Obsession Quest.
Long boat ride. It's the third day of our hunt. The nicest day we've had. Earliest we've got out, it's a 9:45. We've seen some caribou yesterday just over the ridge, so we're going to kind of start there, see whether we can find them or not. And at the same time get warmed up a little bit. The landscape is, we're right out of the tree line. You got some rocks and some moss and some very low shrubs, and that's why I guess they call them barren ground and central barren ground. Now you look across there for a while and there'll be, you know, glass, and you think there's nothing there, and all of a sudden, you know, up out of a little terrain, there's, you know, some caribou pop up. That one's on a velvet. That ain't bad right there. We've got about 6 miles in probably right now, as I'm guesstimating what we've walked and sat down and glassed, and we were in here close enough. What we got is we got a river that's run up through. We can go around this portion of it here and get across right there. I don't know what's on the other side of that little hill, whether the river continues. I think it stops right there, I'm not sure. And I think we can get to them caribou. I mean, it's one of them things that if it's the last day, I'm breaking my own rule again. Because I say, you don't pass up something today, you'd shoot on the last day, and I'd definitely shoot that one on the last day. The trouble is, it's going to be about an 8-mile hike back. That's if we can get there. I do that quite often. I get into the stalk, then I get into it so hard that it doesn't become a matter of the size of the animal. It was all about the stalk, and can I get to him, and can I shoot him, and I've got all day to play and work, and I probably can get to him, but I just don't think he's worth it.
Closed captioning has been provided by Swarovski Optics.
Earlier in the day, Bob saw some caribou but declined to pursue them. Farther up the Thelon River, though, the hunters spot a prime example of this beautiful species.
We spotted one over here. We're gonna go over and take a better look at him. He doesn't look too bad the way things are going. We was planning on coming up here and spending the night. It's getting down toward evening time, but we're gonna go and see if we can find this caribou. Huh? Oh, yeah. Let's see if we get to this rock right there. If I can get to that flat rock right there, that's a good place to lay my pack down. And if it gets a little higher than what he is, he's got his head down. Let's go. We got him now, Harold. He's 150 yards right there. We got him now. Oh, good. He should come right down through here someplace. He's getting up there. Ooh. You don't even have to jack another one in on that one, huh? Oh, I'm telling you. I'm glad you decided to go up to your cabin and spend the night tonight, I'm telling you. What a gorgeous evening. This is the best day we've had. And I'll tell you what, that's excellent. That's a nice caribou. Nice tops on him. Hunting's been a little tough. It's a matter of finding them. We've seen some cows and calves. We had some bulls pinned down today, but we couldn't get across that river. They wasn't as nice as this one anyway.
The nicest caribou we've seen today.
That's it. Let's go look at him. Good job. Oh, leave that bolt open. Look at that, Harold. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at how long that point is. Beautiful animal. That's one thing about caribou. They're all unique. Just like humans. Every one of us is unique, and that's the way with caribou. Every one of them's unique.
After your successful hunt of a lifetime, contact Wes Good at CanadiStudio.com for the finest taxidermy in the business. Be sure to follow Bob and all his adventures at BobFoulkrod.com and on Facebook.